Okay, this video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of linear and non-linear relationships, and more specifically, we're going to focus our understanding on graphing linear relationships from a table. So I guess the first thing we need to look at is how do we graph linear relationships? Well, it's quite simple if we're given a table of results or numerical values that we can then graph. If we have a table with an independent variable and a dependent variable, all right, or in this case an x and a y, so remember that the first variable on the table is the independent. You probably learnt this in science. And the second variable will be the dependent variable. Okay, so on both of these tables, the top value is the independent, the second value is the dependent variable. Okay, if we have numerical values for both of those, we can simply plot them as if they were sets of coordinates. All right, so here's one set of coordinates, here's another set, here's another set, another set, and another set. And if I was going to plot these in green, I would simply go 1 across the x and 2 up on the y, 2 across the x, 3 up on the y, 3 across the x, 4 up on the y, and you can see my set of points here is simply creating a straight line. Alright, now I'm going to put arrows on this line because although I've only been given 5 sets of coordinates, I can see that the relationship is actually linear because it's in a straight line, and that relationship or that graph would continue going if I was given different sets of values for my independent variable. If I was then going to plot my second set of tables, okay, I have a set of coordinates here, and here, and here, and here, and here. My first set is -4, -7, so I go across to -4, down to -7, and I do my first point. Then I go to -2, -3, and I do my next point. And then I go to 0, 1, and I do my next point. And I go to 2, 5, and I do my next point. And then I go to 4, 9, and I've done my next point. And as you can see, this, sorry about the crooked line, is actually meant to be a straight line as well. So that's a linear relationship as well. And again, I've put the arrows on because that straight line, I keep emphasizing straight line, would actually just keep going. So when you see a table of an independent and a dependent variable, whether it is in maths or science or geography or some other subject, remember that the independent variable value and the dependent variable value is just a set of coordinates if you were going to plot them on a graph. Alright, so let's have a look at another example of how we can graph a linear relationship. So you can see here I've got a table, a set of values for my independent and dependent variables. In this case, remember that the independent is x and the dependent is y. And this is simply the same as just pulling coordinates. So just remember that the first column is a set of coordinates, the second column is a set of coordinates, and so on. And we actually have 7 set of coordinates here. Alright, so this first column is essentially the same as the coordinates of -3, -2. Now if I wanted to plot -3, -2, that would go right there. The next set of coordinates would be, okay, so this column is just the set of coordinates -2, -1. So if I go across -2, -1, and there. The next set of coordinates would just be -1, 0. So my x value, remember, is at the front, my y value is second on each set of coordinates. So I go across -1 and 0. My next set of coordinates, okay, is simply going to be 0, 1. Okay, so you can see that the top number is my first number in the set of coordinates and the bottom number is my second number in the set of coordinates. And you can see that I'm just plotting this line, and it's going to end up a straight line just like this. And that's how we can plot a linear relationship using a table of data. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to have a go at this practice question here. Try and graph the linear relationship between x and y. just by figuring out the coordinates and then plotting it on the graph alongside. Just remember your arrowheads at the end of the line. Once you think you've got the right answer, continue the video. Okay, so you can pause it, but continue the video, and we'll go through the answers. Okay, so let's see how you went. Now remember, we've got our independent and dependent variables, okay, the x and the y. Here we have our coordinates. Okay, again, there's going to be 7 of them, very similar to the example that we did previously. And our first set of coordinates is actually -3, -9. If I find that, -3, -9 is going to be down here. Now, I'm not going to write these coordinates for every coordinates out. I'm just going to look at the table, and I'm just going to mark them off from there. So now I've got -2, -6, which is going to be here. I've got -1, -3, and I've got 0, 0. So this actually passes through the origin. So the 0, 0 is actually called the origin. Then I've got 1, 3, 2, 6, and 3, 9. And as you can see, each of these dots is going up by 3 and across by 1 every time. Okay, and this is what your graph should look like.